SUDEP has become a terrible buzzword in the last few years. Sudden, unexpected death in epilepsy. It's been with us forever, but it's only been in the last decade or so that it's been recognized. With me today, I am privileged to introduce you to Mr. Tom Stanton, president of Danny Did Foundation. Following the SUDEP passing of his 4-year-old nephew, Danny, his family has created this international foundation to educate and help provide services to people to avoid other SUDEP fatalities. Also, with the SUDEP passing of Tanisha Tyler Gray's son, she was inspired to start When the Trumpet Sounds. Now, she was so wrought with grief that she pleaded to God if he would just ease her pain, she would become a better servant to all people. Hear how the two of these people have reached out to help thousands. And following this, you'll also hear a story of how the woman who was once known to be the world's fastest woman may have actually been a SUDEP victim herself.
Epilepsy is an invisible disability. It can strike at the most unexpected moments, like the most devious gangster. Epilepsy is a criminal. The epilepsy gangster steals money from people. It doesn't matter if he steals it from college funds, whether it's from retirement plans, and some of his victims have to choose between spending money for food or spending it on medicine. The epilepsy gangster robs people of relationships and job opportunities. But most diabolical of all, the epilepsy gangster kills. Like all criminals, the epilepsy gangster must be stopped. Watch Tim Ulmer and his gang you're meeting, who are committed to ending the crime spree of the epilepsy gangster.
With me now is Tom Stanton, the president of the Danny Did Foundation. And it was the loss of Tom's nephew, Danny, the foundation is named for. Tom, would you please tell us a little bit about how Danny's diagnosis came to be and what the hopes were for his future?
Yeah, so Danny was a generally healthy little boy. He had his first seizure while he was sleeping when he was around 2 years old. And his parents were, like a lot of parents, terrified and didn't know what to make of it. They went to the emergency room. There was no known cause for what sparked it. He left and went back home. They didn't have really many resources other than to monitor him to see if it happened again. He subsequently had his second seizure a few months later. And at that point, he was put on medication and given a diagnosis of a childhood seizure disorder. And over the next 2.5 years or so, his parents witnessed about 4 seizures. They all happened while he was sleeping. It was in December of 2009 that he had a regular appointment scheduled with his neurologist. And they left there feeling pretty positive that they were on the right track. There was a slight medication modification just due to Danny's weight gain. And they felt like it was possible that he would just outgrow his epilepsy. And then it was 4 days later on a Saturday morning that his mom found him unresponsive in the bottom bunk bed that he shared with his older brother, John. And, just a frantic attempt to revive him took place first by his parents and then by a neighbor, who's a Chicago fireman, and then by the responding paramedics. And he had been lost to something called sudden unexpected death in epilepsy.
Had anyone mentioned the risk of SUDEP to your family before?
No, the first time that they had heard that term SUDEP was after Danny had died.
Didn't the responders even know about SUDEP at the time?
Yeah, not even the paramedics had heard that phrase SUDEP. And really back in 2009, it was even less well known than it is now.
Why was it that my parents were not aware of such a thing in the past?
Yeah, so I think, in addition to parents and caregivers and patients not being informed about the risk of SUDEP, another important audience that really hasn't been educated about this risk is the medical examiner and coroner community. So if a case of SUDEP were to occur, 30, 40 years ago, the medical examiner or coroner may not even know to recognize it. And so one thing we did with the Danny Did Foundation was to pass a law in Illinois that required a examination about a history of epilepsy or seizure activity anytime there's a sudden death of a person in Illinois under the age of 55. And
so in the past, it would have been taken for a cardiac arrest or loss of breath?
It could be a cardiac arrest or some kind of respiratory issue. Or determined just this unknown cause. But certainly it wouldn't be tracked as something related to epilepsy. And I think that's a big part of the puzzle moving forward, is to get a better handle on how often we have epilepsy-related deaths occurring.
So it's nothing necessarily new. It's always been with us. It's just that we're becoming aware of it now.
Correct, yeah. And one analogy that we use sometimes is the cause of death that is SIDS, where there was a major public awareness campaign, mainly funded by the government. After that, most people knew about the risk of SIDS.
Is there an age when SUDEP is more likely to occur?
There are, I think, a few points of heightened vulnerability. The point of any transition in life, for example, going from living at home to going away to college and being on your own, or moving out of the house as a young adult, where there's going to be different maybe stress points or opportunities for treatment adherence to suffer, less vigilance in some regard. So those are considered, I think, higher points of vulnerability. SUDEP can happen to people of any age, unfortunately, from the very young to the elderly.
Tell us how the foundation came into being.
Yeah, so after Danny passed away, one of the things that his parents wanted to do was to help other families avoid this tragic outcome. And in the beginning, the foundation was really kind of a grief project and part of the therapy for his parents to just keep him present in the world. And over time, the foundation has definitely evolved into this entity that can help others, does help others, and at the same time, keep Danny present in our lives.
Daniel George Stanton, he's the third of our 4 kids. March 2nd would be his 17th birthday. He might be a baseball player, guitar player, might be an artist, but he'd be one of you guys. I believe there's not a word in the English language for a person who's lost a child, and I don't think there should be.
Please tell us how the Danny Did Foundation has gone about supporting the fight against SUDEP.
So we have kind of 2 points of focus. The first is really to advance awareness of epilepsy and of SUDEP. Just the public awareness is never been where it should be in terms of understanding, what is a seizure, how does it relate to epilepsy, what are the risks that come with it. So we really think that getting out into the mainstream society is really important, and we do that through different campaigns. We've done billboards and radio and television, social media. We're even wrapping a bus this fall to try to get the word out. So we try to be creative and aggressive in terms of the public awareness piece. The other side of what we do is to talk to families and patients and caregivers about technologies and devices in the epilepsy space that can help to complement other forms of treatment, such as medication or diet, or for some, if they go the surgical route, just to make them aware of this whole category of potential impact. And the reason we do is really just that reality that when you're in an epilepsy monitoring unit, you're always being watched, you're always being monitored. And the idea that when you leave there, it's still important for someone to be informed if a seizure takes place. And just the idea that if someone is present, then there's going to be hopefully a better outcome. There'll be the basic steps of just making sure that their airway is clear, that they know that there's someone there supporting them, that there hasn't been an accident or an injury occur, And then, in the worst case scenario, that if they're not responsive, that some kind of intervention could be made to alert either the use of rescue medications or calling the authorities or taking some kind of means to change the outcome for the better. So that program is kind of our signature effort, and we help to counsel patients and caregivers about what their options are in the device space. And then if the funding is a barrier for them, we provide a grant directly to the family that enables them to get the product of their choice into place. And we've done that for families across all 50 states and 16 countries so far.
Wow, how many people in total?
We've provided these grants to almost 3,000 people. And I would say we've counseled several thousand more who just haven't needed the financial support.
What kind of devices are you talking about?
So non-invasive devices. So some of them are wristwatch based. Some of them are a camera based, looking for movement. There are some that are like bed sensors that work beneath the mattress and between the box spring. There are other technologies that are invasive that we make families aware of, the examples of the VNS system or the RNS system or DBS. So we try to make them aware of those options too, but generally when families come to us for counseling and support, they're looking for these non-invasive type devices.
What are the capabilities of a wearable wristwatch?
So a lot of these systems are looking for movements that mimic seizure activity. Once that is detected, they have some capability to alert a caregiver. So usually it's someone that's been, in the case of a watch, somebody that's been pre-programmed to be notified through a text message or a phone call or some kind of alert within the app. And at that point, they could come and do a well-being check themselves or potentially notify someone else to do that on their behalf. So in the example of someone who's away at college, the parent would call the RA and ask them to check in, or call the roommate and ask them to check in. They don't all work in exactly the same way, but they're all kind of based on that premise of early intervention. So the idea of getting somebody present when a seizure is taking place or shortly thereafter, with the idea that, if someone is there, there's going to be, like I said earlier, a better outcome.
Hey, Tom, have there been any beneficiaries of the assistance you've gotten that have told you that the technology has saved their loved one?
Yeah, there's been several occasions where we've heard that type of feedback from parents or adult patients. And that's, to be honest with you, that really motivates us to keep going and to know that there's this direct impact that we're making.
What's a final message that you'd like to leave with viewers, whether they've got epilepsy or whether they're caregivers?
I would, we always start and end with Danny's story. And he was this fun-loving, full of life kid. He was most in the moment when he was with his siblings. He was the third of 4 kids. And he loved running around their neighborhood, playing sports, just enjoying himself. And that's really the spirit and message that we want to put forward into the world on his behalf, was to enjoy your life. The name of our foundation comes from the last line of his obituary, which my brother Mike wrote, and that read, "Please go and enjoy your life. Danny did."
Never forget to enjoy your life.
Never forget to enjoy your life.
Enjoy your life.
Enjoy your life.
Just like Danny did.
Just like Danny did.
Just like Danny did.
Thank you, Danny did.
And if there's anybody out there watching that we can ever be supportive of, we encourage you to reach out. The best place to start would be through our website, which is dannydid.org. That's what we try to do as a foundation, is to take on this condition of epilepsy that's been around since biblical times with kind of a new energy, just looking at it through a different lens.
Very well said, and you've got an honorable cause that you're proceeding with. I wish you, me and all the epileptic community, wish you the great best with this.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks for giving us a platform to get the message out.
The Defeating Epilepsy Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping those battling epilepsy. We provide advocacy and educational services to those battling epilepsy at a global level. For more information about our projects and services, please visit our website at www.defeatingepilepsy.org or email us at info@defeatingepilepsy.org. Please like us on social media and follow us so you can see how we are making a difference. Thank you for your support, and together we will defeat epilepsy.
Hi, I am Natalie Beavers, and I am one of the many survivors living with epilepsy. My life has been filled with many ups and downs. It's just a part of life. I am proud of the person that I am becoming, and as I stand in the face of this relentless disorder called epilepsy, I want you all to know that I am me.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a different show, as we said, because it's about SUDEP. And with me tonight is Tanisha Tyler Graves, the CEO of When the Trumpet Sounds. And Tanisha is the mother of a young man who passed away because of SUDEP. Tanisha, would you please tell us a little bit about how the Epilepsy Gangster intruded upon your life?
Well, I didn't know too much about epilepsy when our son started having them at the age of 5 months. He was actually pronounced clinically dead as we woke up that morning at 4:30 or so, giving him a bottle of milk, thinking that maybe he had the hiccups, to turning the light on to seeing his whole body purple all over. And it was nothing but the grace of God that we live right across the street from the EMS. They hurriedly ran inside of our home, started to treat him, and hooked him up to all kinds of machines. And they were able to get his pulse back and rushing him to the hospital to do further testing. His seizures actually started off what is known as febrile seizures.
Would you please tell us a little bit about the horrendous day when Epilepsy Gangster moved in?
Well, the night before, Marquise actually had a seizure. That was nothing out of the usual for us. And so after he came around, we went by Wendy's to get something to eat. Got home, he sat down at the table because he was very prideful where he ate. I went on upstairs. I could hear him and my husband sitting down here joking at the kitchen table. He later came up and stood on the side of my bed, smiling from ear to ear. And I said, son, I said, you finished your food? He said, yeah, mama. And I said, was it good? He said, that was good stuff. And so I smiled at him and I said, Mama's a little tired. He said, okay. So he went on to his bedroom and I could hear him playing with his little walkie-talkie. He was 26 years old, but he had a mindset of a 3 or 5 year old. And so I could hear him in the room playing with the toys, and I dozed on off to sleep. The next morning, my husband got up, walked the dog outside, tells me that he's going on to work. And I was talking to my best friend and I said, well, hey, I'm going to get off the phone. I'm going to bid my husband a good day, change my bed linens, and I'll get back with you later. So I did those things. I went to go into my hallway to pick up my sheets. And something said, Tanisha, go in the room and check up on Marquise. So when I walked inside the room, I see him laying in fetal position towards his window. And I began to adjust his pillow. Well, as I adjusted his pillow, he did not move. And I said, Lord, what is going on here? And another voice came and said, Tanisha, now roll him over. And so I grabbed him by his arms. And when I rolled him, his whole body came over to me. And it was at that point that I knew he had already transitioned. It was on Labor Day of 2019.
Only 4 years ago.
Yes.
Please tell us the reception that you got from first responders.
Well, when they came in, they were very cordial. I showed them where my son was. They came in, they treated me with much respect. And I heard one of the EMS workers asking his head person, do you need me to go get the EKG? And she told him yes. And so they went out and he comes back in with it, attached the leads to Marquise. The lady looks back at me, walks away and walks to his window and looks back and she said, he's gone. There's nothing that we can do. Quickly, it turned into what we know as a homicide scene because they did not understand seizures, let alone SUDEP.
Homicide?
Homicide, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Only
Yes.
4 years ago.
Yes. And so they had to call someone else in to come in and caress the area to make sure that there was no foul play. And the person came in, and I was very numb because one, my son was gone. Two, you're now in my house looking at this as a homicide scene.
Who do you think could have done it?
I have the slightest idea, but when they had the person come in to actually, look at my son's surroundings and how he was laid, and they said, no, she passed because he passed. It was his time. And, just dealing with all of that. And I said, well, can I call the funeral home? They said, no, not until we clear out all of what we need to do. But then the head person of the police department walked out into the hallway, and he began to apologize to me. He said, because I feel the love inside this home. And he said, I just can't imagine. And he said, I'm truly sorry that we came in the way that we did, but we did not know. So we had to actually call someone in to clear it.
Oh my gosh. So tell us, you live in Virginia?
Yes, I do.
And at that time, SUDEP was unheard of?
It was heard of, but I don't think it is widespread as if you would hear about cancer or diabetes or stroke patients. I think that there needs to be more education and awareness when it comes to epilepsy to begin with. And also a better dive in understanding when it comes to SUDEP, because we do have a lot of people all around this world who do not know about SUDEP, nor have they ever heard of it. So that is a big problem.
Please share with us what your grieving was like and how you've come around from this.
Well, when I lost my son, I lost myself. I had no identity. I was just a vessel here. And I was just simply existing. I had stopped eating. I had stopped drinking. I was cutting off outside communications. You feel like a failure as a parent that you couldn't get to your child or your loved one to save them in the time of trouble. And so because I didn't have any identity, I no longer wanted to live. It was one night that I was laying over on my side and I was crying because when I'm down, I wanted my husband to stay up and vice versa. And so my husband tapped me on my shoulder and he said, I know what you're trying to do. He said, but I cannot lose you too. He said, we've already lost our son, and I can't afford to lose you. That would be too much for me to bear. And what he did not know is that I was in the conversation with God all the while to help me, to give me the strength that I needed in order to go back into survival mode again. And I said, Lord, if you can give me enough strength and enough power in your might, that I would then go forth with a vacation that we had planned the next month. I said, when I come back, I will surely get to work and I would be of great service.
Well, tell us what you've accomplished now that you've started this mission.
So I decided that I was going to go to Williamsburg Theological Seminary School. And so far, I have completed my associates. I went on to finish my bachelor's, and I just finished master's, half a master's. So I just finished master's 1. I'm also in another school for evangelism that I take on Fridays. And I also go to another school working on business planning and how to be able to help others, to help them build up their businesses in their nonprofits.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. So do you see this as being the good that's come from Marquis passing?
Yes, because he was a ray of sunshine. Wherever we went to, he would open the door for someone and say, hey, my name is Marquis Devon Chapman. This is my mother, Tanisha Graves. And how are you? And he held that door wherever we were until there was nobody else in sight. And I said, if you're going to serve people, serve well. I said, if our special needs and our disabled community can serve and love people and still smile through everything that they're going through, then you yourself can serve well. And so I want to be a beacon of light, just serving other people and not looking at how people may treat me or may talk about me. I want to be a best service that I can be for all people.
Bravo, Tanisha. Well spoken. What have you done so far?
Well, When the Trumpet sounds is a faith-based ministry, and we're national and international advocates. We ask you to sit down with researchers, medical professionals, mental health professionals, FBI, and the local police departments. And we talk about education. And we want to be sure that they understand that education is imperative, because at no time will you fully understand epilepsy, because there are over 40 different types of seizures. But at least you will have something that you can kind of pay attention, and your focus can be, well, maybe they're having a seizure. What should I do? So I actually have become a certified seizure instructor, training people to actually keep their eyes on what if that person is having a seizure and what you should be able to do.
What final statement would you have for people with epilepsy or who are grieving from SUDEP?
Continue to rise up and don't look back on what your situation is today. Look forward to a greater day ahead and continue to serve well. And put yourself around people who will love and who will pour into you and who will be of great assistance to you. That then you will know that you can continue to walk through whatever ailments that you may be facing today. But tomorrow we're praying that you will have a brighter day and that you will be able to go out here and still embrace and enjoy life. Even the life that you have been given, still enjoy it. Find your peace and your joy.
It's absolutely beautiful, Tanisha, and we wish you all the best of luck with and blessings in your crusade ahead.
Thank you so much.
Tim always knew the world was made of different people, the idea of serving others, and loving the United States. Epilepsy made that difficult his entire life, particularly in keeping him out of the Navy. After several failures, the chance came to teach English in communist China. Going to the Chinese university, he was the first foreigner most had met, and he became their only American friend. Everyone discovered that people shouldn't base their friendships solely on nationalities.
I was glad to answer their questions because for the first time in my life, I saw that God had a mission for me. I became proud of my epilepsy, and I realized that I was serving on a mission for my country's image that was bigger than anything I'd imagined as a kid. At the same time, I was serving God.
Read the ebook, Involuntary Mission in China with a Thorn in the Flesh, to learn about Tim's struggles and discoveries. Ebook available on Amazon. This woman began running at an early age. Once called the fastest woman alive, she set track records which remain standing over 3 decades later. She won several medals throughout high school and college, solidifying her reputation as a track star, winning the 200-meter and 400-meter events. She married Al Joyner, also an athlete, who later became her coach in 1984 at the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. She won a silver medal after a 4-year break. She won 3 gold medals in the 4x4 relay, 100 and 200-meter runs, and also a silver medal in the 4x400-meter event. Her Olympic performance was so remarkable that she was accused of illegally taking enhancement drugs. This claim was later proven to be unfounded. Her eclectic personal style tantalized people, wearing boldly colored, hooded, one-legged bodysuits, 6-inch nails, and sometimes jewelry. Fashion historian Darnell Jamel Lisby noted that people watching didn't just want to be as fast as her, but wanted to be as cool. On September 21st, 1998, she died suddenly in her sleep alongside her husband. Because SUDEP wasn't recognized at the time, first responders began a homicidal investigation. Without evidence of any violence, investigators then probed into whether or not it was an overdose of illegal drugs. Eventually, the coroner ruled that she'd suffocated during an epileptic seizure. This athlete was Florence Griffith Joyner, lovingly known as FloJo. Nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to make things happen.
Ooh, wow. Hey, Epilepsy Gangster. We're in a time machine and we're getting to see a celebration that's going to take place when my gang and researchers have gotten rid of you. And for the rest of you, may you be seizure-free and God bless you. Ooh.